Hi everyone, it's Lee here, and in this week's coaching video we're going to take a look at having a fresh perspective. Now this is all about coming back from a holiday or time away and the benefits of taking time away from the grind. So as you can see here in this picture, this is just a picture I've taken on a recent holiday at Bright in Victoria. You can see there the sun coming down on the river, setting off some steam and the visual effect that creates. Now, this was, I took this shot in the morning as I was getting myself a coffee, and you just don't see this kind of thing every day. So these are just an example of the kind of benefits that you can see on holiday. Now, I'm probably not telling you anything new, but I want to talk about the benefits of it and really understanding that and understand the other benefits of taking time off and how it can benefit you on your career or your path as a solopreneur or entrepreneur, depending on what you're doing. So let's jump into it. It's just a one-pager presentation this time around, so it'll be fairly quick. But I just want to talk about the top 10 benefits that I really noticed and reflected on while I was away. Now, this may hopefully generate a bit of interest for you to take a break and realize some of these benefits yourself. So number one, the obvious one there is around reducing stress and increasing effectiveness upon your return. Now that might sound fairly obvious to begin with, but it's only after taking a couple of days off that you really realize how actually stressed you were and how much pressure you were under. So it is interesting to see that you do just build up and build up and build up that pile of stress and that pile of pressure, and you carry on, but how much of your vision is clouded by all that pressure and stress, and you just can't see it in the moment. So it's really about taking that time off to really get a fresh perspective on what you were doing and how much stress and pressure you are under and what can change upon your return. What new fresh perspective can you take upon your return? So I think that's a really good takeaway. Number two there is around experiencing life, living your passions and living your meaning. I mean, how much living and passion have you got in your job, in your work? Hopefully you've got some. That's great if you have. But I think the best parts of life are obviously experienced outside of work and doing what you want to do. Now, we're not all lucky enough to have that lifestyle where we can do what we want all the time, but is that balance right for you? And if it's not, then I implore you to get out there and experience life and take time off and get that balance right to really get that fresh perspective again. Take time off from the grind to get that fresh perspective and experience life, whatever hobbies you're interested in, friends, family, that kind of thing, and we'll dig into more as we go through this list. Number three is around stop and reflect on your progress. So similar to the above one, just around stopping the daily cycle, the daily grind, and actually doing nothing or doing something completely different and doing one thing at a time. It makes a huge difference where your day-to-day life, you might be splitting your mind between 10 tasks or 10 different activities happening all at the one time with all your work and life responsibilities on a daily basis. But what happens when all that stops and you can put all that sort of stuff aside and you've got plenty of time to do it all? You can just limit it all back and be mindful of one thing at a time. And that's a really different mode that your brain and mind will be in, and you'll experience the benefits from that. It's worth experiencing, and it's worth experiencing often. And hopefully you've experienced that before and continue to. But if it's been a while, I really implore you to take that break and be mindful of that experience of just doing one thing at a time. And so you can reflect on your progress, on your life, where you're up to, and see if you're happy about that, what needs to change. You can really only do that when you've got the space and time around you. Number four there is around living in the now. Again, it's around mindfulness and doing one thing at a time. So we've talked about that, but you can just get out and go for a walk or do that one thing at a time and just be happy and present in the moment without a bombardment of emails and phone calls and other tasks to do. Number 5 there is around connecting with people. So connecting with your partner more, your family, friends, having that time and space off to do that and to do it authentically. And what benefits flow from that? You can have open conversations. You can talk more about people's passions and values and beliefs and follow along conversations and where they take you, and not be rushing a conversation in a 15-minute work break or 1 hour that you have available on the weekend. You can just take time to explore those things and understand people better and enjoy the experience. And this can also be, if you're traveling somewhere new, you can meet strangers, which we did on our holiday. And it was great, whether it be just someone in the street or out for a walk or while we're ordering food. You get to meet new people and have just short conversations, but you learn a little bit about them and about the place and where they're from and other little stories and challenges that they've got. And they also learn a little bit about you as well. So I think that's really important, especially after 2020 and the year that we've had there. So number 6, as I mentioned, learning something new. You can learn things about the people and the places. So when we were out walking around in Merimbula and Bright, where we went on our holiday, you come across the little signs about the history and the nature and things like that. So it's great to have the time to be able to stop and read those. Normally I wouldn't have read those in the past too much. But with time, you can stop, look, learn, and understand the species of the forest that you're walking through, or who founded these places, or it might be the Aboriginal history, or whatever it is of the township and the businesses and industries that flourished to begin with. All that kind of stuff, you get to learn something new. And while you might forget it later on, in that moment, you appreciate it, and it really adds a richness to your experience of that place. And you're not thinking about work, you're not thinking about the other boring tasks or meaningless tasks that are in your life on your usual day-to-day stuff. You're doing something completely different. You're breaking that cycle, and I think it's bringing refreshing benefits for you to bring a whole new fresh perspective on the way you're living your life. So number 7 is around being grateful for where you're at. So if, like in the morning, that photo that I had looking at the mist there, you can be grateful for that moment, enjoying that coffee, being grateful that you can get away for a few days or a week. Be grateful for the time that you're spending with people and the input and value that they add to your life, and vice versa. Number 8, finding beauty in your surrounds, the places and people. So last week's video, we were talking about the man's search for meaning, which obviously is around searching for meaning. And one of those concepts was finding meaning in experiences and finding meaning via beauty. So joining those things together, finding meaning within the beauty of the spaces around you, whether it be people or a babbling river with the steam shining off it. Finding beauty, you remember those experiences, and those things ultimately shape your life and add depth and richness to your life that you won't forget. So it's about finding that space and finding, I guess, the hidden beauty. So perhaps it doesn't have to be a beautiful, scenic river. Perhaps there's beauty that you can find in the city, in your apartment, in observing an interaction. So some interesting angles there for you to find a fresh perspective. Number 9 is around understanding that you have choice and you have time. So yes, the sun goes up and the sun comes down each day, but you've got an abundance of time in your life to make decisions, change paths, experience beauty, experience all these things that we've talked about, and make sense of them in a new way. Make sense of them and add a fresh perspective of life and living and the things that you want to do and the things that you don't want to do more of, that you've had enough of, that you need to change from. This fresh perspective will give you the ability to understand that there's more than one way to live life, by the places you go and the characters you meet. So these are all the benefits that a holiday break and time away can give you. And that leads into number 10 there, around rebalancing your priorities. You can let go of the things that you're just finding not important anymore. Now, there's some responsibilities that you may need to delegate or keep doing until something bigger and more significant changes. But you can change your career path. You can change your house or where you holiday and what you spend your time doing. Decluttering is a classic example. We've continued to declutter this year and remove smaller items from around the home that just make the biggest difference. Something less to clean, something less to get in the way, something we weren't using. So a classic example there is replacing old, unused, heavy gym equipment with small elastic bands that you can still use for fitness and weight loss and that kind of thing, but they take up no space, and used correctly, they're probably just as effective. So that's just a classic example of where a small decision in decluttering can change your life and add so much value to it. So it doesn't have to be big things like, changing a house or getting a new car or something like that. But perhaps there's the best value you can find is in the small things, like changing out some of those little items. Something that's going to give you half an hour back in your day. Perhaps it's changing a job with more flexible work from home arrangements, or getting those arrangements in your current job, having a conversation with the boss. It can make a world of difference. Maybe it's about getting more time in your life for more holiday breaks, more regular breaks. Perhaps it's about taking one day a week off of work. Perhaps it's starting to study something new. Spend more time on your side business or hobbies. It's all about getting a fresh perspective. And I think the best way is by taking a week or two off and having this holiday break and just letting all these elements bubble away and have that awareness of it. And I think you can only do it with the grace of time. You can't force this thing while you're working and in it. You need to get away from it to get that fresh perspective. Now, I hope that's been helpful. I'll put this slide up on my website if you want to grab a copy of it to have or tick through or to reflect on at a later time. So check that out in the comments below on YouTube. They'll be in the comments below. And I hope that's been a great help. And I'll see you in next week's video. Cheers. Bye.